Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a career that, well, it almost feels like two different careers, doesn't it?
It really does. We're talking about Robert John Odenkirk.
Right. And it's this incredible contradiction. You've got the guy most people probably know now, the intense, dramatic actor from Breaking Bad, from Better Call Saul.
The anti-hero, yeah.
Yeah.
A major dramatic star who, kind of came into that later in his career, like in his late 40s.
But before any of that,
Uh-huh.
he'd already carved out this whole other identity, a really significant one, actually. A cult comedy legend, a writer, Emmy winner. It's wild.
Absolutely. 2 primetime Emmys for writing comedy back in the early 90s. That's the foundation. But then you look at the acting nods later on. 6 Emmy nominations just for lead actor in Better Call Saul.
6.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting the Golden Globes, the Critics' Choice wins.
Right. 3 wins there for Best Actor. It's just
Yeah.
the contrast is stark.
So that's our mission today. We want to dig into that shift. How does someone go from feeling, as he apparently did, kind of uncertain about his comedy writing, to becoming this celebrated dramatic force? And then, an action star.
Yeah, the action star thing is another curveball. It's a story about restlessness, I think, about always pushing, adapting. So we're tracing that path from the weirdness of Mr. Show to the prestige world of AMC drama.
Let's start at the beginning then. Where did this drive come from?
Well, like a lot of comedians, maybe, it starts with wanting to get away from somewhere.
Okay. So born in Berwyn, Illinois, 1962, but he grew up mostly in Naperville.
In Naperville, let's just say he wasn't a fan. He's been pretty blunt about it. Said he grew up hating the place.
Hating it, wow.
Yeah. Called it a dead end. Felt like there was no culture, nothing creative happening. He just couldn't wait to get out, move to a city, be around people making things. That seems like a big early motivator.
And it sounds like home life wasn't exactly stable either. He was one of 7 kids.
Second oldest of 7, yeah. His parents were Walter, who ran a printing business, and Barbara. Catholic background, German and Irish roots. But his father's alcoholism was a major issue.
Ah, okay.
It led to his parents divorcing. And Odenkirk's description of his father is, well, it's harsh, remote, fucked up, and not around.
That was rough. And that had a direct impact on him personally.
Definitely. He made a conscious choice to avoid alcohol himself because of it. And you kind of wonder, don't you, if maybe that experience, that lack of control at home, fueled this intense focus on his work later, like creating order in his career?
Interesting point. That focus definitely shows up early academically. He finished high school super young, right?
At 16.
Yeah.
Graduated from Naperville North. Said he was just tired of high school and impatient, ready for the next thing.
So college wasn't exactly a straight line either.
Not really. He bounced around a bit. College of DuPage, then Marquette University in Milwaukee, then transferred downstate to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. That's where he eventually got his communications BA in '84.
But the real action was happening outside the lecture halls.
Oh, for sure. Especially at SIU. He got heavily involved with the campus radio station WIDB. That's where he really started writing sketches, performing them.
On the radio.
Yeah, he created this late-night show called The Primetime Special. Ran from midnight to 4 a.m. Talk about dedication. That was his first real creative outlet, honing those skills.
So after college, it had to be Chicago, right? The comedy mecca.
Absolutely. He knew that's where he needed to be. He actually finished up some college credits at Columbia College Chicago while diving headfirst into the improv scene.
And this is where he connects with some key figures.
Huge ones. He studied under the legendary Del Close at the Players Workshop.
Del Close, we should probably pause on that name for a second.
Why?
Because his influence, especially on the kind of comedy Odenkirk would later champion, is massive.
Totally. Close wasn't just teaching improv games. He was teaching a philosophy. Long-form improv, the Herald, this very structured, almost intellectual way of building comedy scenes. Themes, patterns, taking the audience somewhere unexpected.
You can really see the DNA of Mr. Show in that description.
Exactly. That's structured chaos. And it was at Players Workshop he met Robert Smigel, another huge connection. Then he performed at Improv Olympic, rubbing shoulders with guys like Chris Farley, Tim Meadows.
Wow. So he was right in the thick of that incredible 90s Chicago comedy explosion.
Steeped in it. And his own influences kind of point to that blend of smart and silly. Monty Python's Flying Circus was his #1. He loved that mix of cerebral humor and just, laugh-out-loud absurdity.
What else?
You mentioned local Chicago radio guy, Steve Dahl, SCTV, of course, Steve Martin. Also, more niche stuff like The Credibility Gap, Bob and Ray. It wasn't about traditional stand-up jokes for him. It was about constructed weirdness, maybe even anti-humor sometimes.
So by the time he gets the call for SNL, he's got this really unique toolkit. The structure from Del Close, the Python absurdity, and this, like, intense personal drive.
Yeah, all forged in that desire to escape Naperville and find his voice. He was ready for the big leagues. Or so he thought.
Okay, so 1987, he lands the dream job for a comedy writer. Saturday Night Live, stays till 91. He's in the room with Smigel, with Conan O'Brien. I mean, that's legendary.
It absolutely is. But here's where that Odenkirk restlessness, that friction really starts to show. Because even though he's there at the pinnacle, he apparently felt really unsure.
Sure about his writing.
Yeah. He's talked about feeling like his stuff just wasn't quite working at SNL. His style, more conceptual, sometimes kind of dark or just plain weird. It didn't always fit the 4-minute, punchline-driven network sketch format.
That makes sense. SNL needs things to land quickly, often relying on recurring bits or impressions.
Yeah.
His Chicago improv background was probably geared towards something longer, stranger.
Exactly. He felt kind of stifled by the process, the politics of getting a sketch on air. It wasn't a perfect fit for his sensibility.
And ironically, his biggest hit for SNL came when he wasn't even in the building, right?
Right. It was during a summer break. He was back in Chicago doing a show at Second City called Flag Burning, Permitted in Lobby Only.
Catchy title.
Isn't it? And that's where he cooked up Matt Foley, motivational speaker.
For Chris Farley.
Specifically for Farley. Tailored it completely to Farley's physical genius and that, underlying sweetness he had.
Living in a van down by the river.
Iconic. Instantly. And it worked because I had that classic Odenkirk mix. The completely over-the-top destructive character, but then that one heartbreakingly specific, pathetic detail is brilliant. But still, he wasn't really getting on screen much himself.
Just that one commercial.
Pretty much. That Bad Idea Jeans parody in 1990 was his most visible moment as a performer there.
So by 91, even though he's surrounded by future megastars, Sandler, Spade, Rock, Farley were all there, in his last year, he decides to leave.
Yeah. He realized he didn't just want to write the weird stuff. He wanted to be the weird stuff. He needed to perform, and SNL wasn't really offering him that shot.
Which leads him to another legendary, albeit short-lived, show.
The Ben Stiller Show, 1992. He'd known Stiller briefly from sharing an office at SNL. Ben hired him as both a writer and a performer this time on Fox.
And this show, again, critically adored, commercially, not so much.
Classic story, right? They created some amazing, bizarre sketches. Remember Manson Lassie?
Oh, my God, yes.
And the show won an Emmy for outstanding writing. But
he was already canceled by the time they got the award.
Exactly. It just proved the network still didn't quite know what to make of that specific brand of smart alternative comedy.
So after Stiller ended, he did a stint writing for Conan.
Yeah. Late Night with Conan O'Brien, 93 to 94. Solid writing gig, kept him working. But the real game changer was teaming up with someone he met on the Stiller Show.
David Cross.
David Cross. And that brings us to the monument, really. Mr. Show with Bob and David. HBO, 1995 to 1998.
This show it felt different. Not just the content, but the whole structure.
Totally revolutionary for a TV sketch comedy. Like we talked about with Del Close, it wasn't just isolated bits. Sketches flowed into each other, bled together, commented on each other. It was dense, non-linear meta.
You kind of had to pay attention, right?
Right.
It wasn't background noise comedy.
Definitely not. And the talent it fostered? Unbelievable. Sarah Silverman, Jack Black, Paul F. Tompkins, Tom Kenny, Brian Posen. The list is insane.
Critically loved, Emmy nominated, but because it was on HBO back then.
The audience was smaller, yeah. But super dedicated. That's the cult status thing. Its influence hugely outweighed its ratings. It became this touchstone for comedians and writers.
But when they tried to take that Mr. Show vibe to the big screen, it didn't go well.
Oof, yeah. Run, Ronnie, Run in 2002.
Yeah.
Based on a Mr. Show sketch. But the studio took over the edit, and Bob and David basically washed their hands of the final version.
That must have been painful, losing control like that.
Crucial moment, I think. It seems like it really pushed Odenkirk towards wanting more control, wanting to direct his own stuff, which unfortunately led to a pretty tough decade for him behind the camera.
Right, the 2000s. People forget this period, but he was directing features.
He was, and his first one, Melvin Goes to Dinner in 2003, was actually well received. Small, indie, character-focused. Won an audience award at South by Southwest, showed he could handle nuanced stuff.
But then came the studio comedies.
Yeah. Let's go to Prison in 2006. The Brothers Solomon in 2007. Those did not go over well. Critically panned, commercially unsuccessful.
It feels like maybe the studio system just wasn't the right fit for his sensibility, especially after the Run, Ronnie, Run experience. He needed that creative freedom.
Seems likely. And he was trying constantly to get his own stuff made, too. Develop TV pilots like The Big Wide World of Carl Lamke, David's Situation. But nothing got ticked up. It sounds like a really frustrating time. Lots of work, not a lot clicking commercially.
But even while his own projects were maybe struggling, he was still finding and championing other unique voices, right?
Absolutely. This is key. He didn't abandon that alt-comedy world. He famously discovered Tim Heidecker and Eric Wareheim.
Tim and Eric.
Yeah, he helped them get Tom Goes to the Mayor and then Tim and Eric. Awesome show. Great job. Off the ground. He saw their bizarre genius and used his clout to support it. It shows he was still connected to that fringe, even when trying to make more mainstream stuff himself.
And we have to mention the big what if from this era, The Office.
Ah, yes. The Michael Scott near miss. He was seriously in the running for the pilot.
Can you imagine? It's hard to picture anyone but Carell now, but
It really is. But clearly the Office folks loved him because they brought him back for a guest spot in the final season. He played this manager in Philly who was very Michael Scott-esque, a fun little nod to that alternate reality.
But his real path, the one nobody saw coming, was about to open up. Not in comedy, but in drama.
Yeah. Albuquerque was calling.
Okay, so 2009, Breaking Bad is on AMC, already a critical darling, and suddenly Bob Odenkirk shows up.
Out of nowhere, right, as Saul Goodman. The flashy, morally flexible lawyer.
And the crazy thing is, this wasn't supposed to be a big deal initially.
Not at all. Get this. The role was written as just a 3-episode guest spot in season 2.
3 episodes, seriously.
Yeah, he was just meant to be a plot device, basically. Help Walt and Jesse navigate some legal trouble. But Odenkirk just popped.
He really did. That mix of sleaze and competence, comedy, and, genuine menace underneath.
Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould, the creators, saw it immediately. They were blown away. That 3-episode arc, forget it. He became a series regular from season 3 all the way to the end. He just brought this unexpected depth to the character.
And that depth, that complexity they saw, that led directly to Better Call Saul.
The spin-off premiered 2015, ran till 2022. And now Odenkirk isn't just a scene stealer, he's the lead.
Charting that whole transformation of Jimmy McGill into Saul Goodman. And he's a producer on this one, too.
Huge shift. From cult comedian to the face of a major prestige drama. And the acclaim, it was intense.
Off the charts. I mean, the Emmy situation alone is kind of nuts. 6 nominations for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series for Saul.
6 times, and he never won that specific Emmy.
Right. It ties the record for most nominations in that category without a win, which is, a weird record to hold, but it speaks volumes about how consistently great the critics thought he was year after year.
And the Golden Globes piled up, too?
5 nominations there. But he did get the win multiple times at the Critics' Choice Awards. Right, 3 wins for Best Actor in a Drama Series. Yeah, 2015, 2016, and for the final season in 2022. So the critics, at least, were definitely validating this dramatic transformation.
Absolutely. But here's what I find fascinating. Even while he's plumbing the depths of Jimmy McGill's tragic soul,
He can't quite quit the comedy.
exactly. Right in the middle of the Saul run, 2015, he gets back together with David Cross for W. Bob and David on Netflix.
All-new sketch series.
Yeah, he co-created it, wrote, starred, produced. It's like he needed that outlet, a palate cleanser from all the drama, maybe. Get back to the absurdity.
Maintain the balance.
Seems like it. And at the same time, his dramatic success was opening doors in movies. Big time.
Yeah, suddenly he's popping up in really respected films.
Supporting roles, but in quality projects. It's spectacular. Now, he did voice work in Incredibles 2, played Ben Bradley's deputy in The Post, showed up in Greta Gerwig's Little Women.
And Nebraska, the Alexander Payne film.
Yeah.
That felt significant.
Huge. 2013, beautiful black and white film, nominated for the Palme d'Or at Conan. That wasn't just a small part. It really cemented him as a serious actor who could hold his own in high-level independent cinema. He proved he had the dramatic chops, no question.
So, okay. We've got the cult comedy writer, the prestige drama lead. You'd think maybe he'd settle into that groove, right?
You would think, but nope. The next pivot is maybe the most unexpected of all. He becomes an action hero in his late 50s.
It sounds completely bizarre on paper.
Oh.
Bob Odenkirk doing fight choreography, but then nobody comes out in 2021.
And it works. He plays Hutch Mansell, this seemingly boring suburban dad who turns out to have a very particular set of skills.
A very violent past, yeah. And apparently he didn't phone it in. The training was intense.
Get this, 2 years. He trained for 2 years to do a lot of the stunt work and fighting himself. That's serious commitment.
And audiences responded. The movie was a hit.
#1 at the box office when it opened. Huge success. And remember, he produced this one too, through his own company. He had that control.
Cal Gold Pictures, right? He set that up in 2020, signed a deal with Sony TV. Smart move for creative control long term.
Definitely. And the success of Nobody Was So Big, they're already doing a sequel. Nobody 2 is slated for 2025.
Incredible. So he's got this action franchise going, but he's still exploring other things on TV too.
Yeah, he didn't just stick with the action. In 2023, he starred in Lucky Hank on AMC, based on a Richard Russo novel, Straight Man.
Playing a character quite different from Houch Mansell.
Totally. A kind of burnt-out, neurotic English professor, much more internalized, closer to maybe some of his earlier comedic personas, but grounded in drama.
And then comes this amazing guest spot that brought everything full circle almost.
The bear. Oh, man, that episode.
The Christmas episode, Fishes. Just chaos. And he played Uncle Lee.
And he got an Emmy nomination for it. Outstanding guest actor in a comedy series. It was brilliant because, unlike Saul, who's loud and performative, Uncle Lee was all this simmering resentment and anxiety beneath the surface. Just fantastic acting within that insane comedic pressure cooker.
It really showed his range yet again. And then just when you think, okay, what else can he possibly do?
He makes his Broadway debut.
In a monster of a play, no less. David Mamet's Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah, in 2025. And not just any part. He played Shelley the Machine Levine, the desperate, washed-up salesman. It's a classic, incredibly demanding dramatic role.
Echoes of Jimmy McGill's Desperation, maybe, but in a totally different theatrical context.
Absolutely. And he nailed it. The reviews for his performance were stellar, even if the overall production got mixed reactions. He earned a Tony Award nomination for Best Featured Actor in a Play.
Wow. A Tony nomination.
The only nomination the show received, actually, which really highlights how much his performance stood out. It just confirmed his status as a heavyweight dramatic actor, stage or screen.
And throughout all these acting transformations, he kept writing too.
Never stopped. He put out that book of comedy sketches and essays, A Load of Hooey, back in 2014. Then the memoir in 2022, comedy drama. I mean, the title says it all, right?
Perfect title.
And then, showing yet another side, he co-wrote a children's poetry book with his daughter, Erin, called Zealot and Other Important Rhymes. Came out in 2023.
Amazing. The sheer breadth of it all. Comedy, drama, action, writing, producing Broadway kids' books.
Yeah.
It's just relentless creativity. So his career has been full of these incredible, sometimes jarring shifts. But in 2021, life itself threw him a curveball that was far more serious.
Yeah, the health scare on the set of Better Call Saul, that was genuinely terrifying.
He collapsed while filming in Albuquerque, July 2021. And the initial reports were kind of vague, but the reality was grim.
Extremely grim. It wasn't just a small heart attack, as sometimes gets reported. It was what they call a widowmaker.
Which means?
It means a total blockage of the main artery supplying blood to the heart, the LAD. It's often fatal if not treated immediately. He'd actually been diagnosed with some plaque buildup back in 2018, but this event was catastrophic.
His heart actually stopped.
Completely stopped. He needed CPR on set, multiple defibrillator shocks to get his pulse back. It's hard to overstate how close he came.
Wow. And the impact on the show itself could have been huge.
Oh, absolutely. Peter Gould, the showrunner, said very clearly afterwards that if Odenkirk hadn't pulled through, that would have been it for Better Call Saul. They wouldn't have recast, wouldn't have tried to finish it without him.
That says a lot about his importance to that entire project and the loyalty there.
It really does. Incredible loyalty. Thankfully, he made a remarkable recovery and was back on set by September to finish the final season. Just amazing resilience.
Switching gears a bit, his family life seems pretty grounded amidst all the career chaos. Married Naomi Yomtov in '97.
Right, and she's in the business too. She was an executive producer on W. Bob and David. They have 2 kids together. And his brother, Bill Odenkirk, is also a successful comedy writer. The Simpsons, Futurama.
It's definitely a talented family.
Runs in the blood, apparently. Which actually leads us to maybe the most surprising discovery about his background.
Oh yeah, the Finding Your Roots episode. This was wild.
Totally unexpected. So the guy who hated suburban Naperville and defined himself through edgy, anti-establishment comedy, turns out he has royal blood.
Seriously.
Royal!
Well, descended from royalty, he learned he's related through an illegitimate son to Charles, who was the Duke of Schleswig-Holstein-Sonderburg-Plan back in the day.
Okay, so what does that actually mean in terms of, like, current royals?
Get this. It makes him an 11th cousin to King Charles III.
No way. Bob Odenkirk and King Charles are cousins. That's hilarious.
Isn't it? The irony is just perfect. The ultimate outsider comedian discovers this aristocratic connection. Amazing.
And wasn't there some other interesting ancestor? Like a soldier.
Yeah, another surprise. He had an ancestor named Jean-Jacques Fricker who fought for Napoleon, a French soldier at the Battle of Aspern-Essling during the Napoleonic Wars. Just adds another layer of unexpected history to the guy.
From Naperville to Napoleonic battles and German dukes. Quite a family tree.
You could say that. And finally, capping off this whole incredible journey, he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Well-deserved. When was that?
April 18th, 2022. They timed it perfectly for the premiere date of the final season of Better Call Saul.
Nice touch. And where is it located?
Even better touch. It's right next to Bryan Cranston's star.
Ah, perfect. Walt and Saul, side by side on Hollywood Boulevard. That feels right. Hashtag tag outro. So, when you step back and look at the whole picture, it's kind of staggering, isn't it? From writing Matt Foley at Second City, feeling unsure at SNL, creating the cult chaos of Mr. Show.
Through the directing struggles, then the complete reinvention as Saul Goodman, becoming this acclaimed dramatic actor.
Then pivoting again to become a bona fide action star in his late 50s, getting a Tony nomination on Broadway.
It's a career defined by refusing to be pinned down, by perseverance, sure, but also by this incredible adaptability. He just never settled.
Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. After hitting these peaks, prestige drama, action stardom, Broadway acclaim, what's the next unexpected turn for Bob Odenkirk?
You might think maybe a quiet indie drama. Or producing more.
Nope. Get ready for this. His next big starring role is playing Johnny in The Room Returns.
Yes, you heard that right. A reportedly shot-for-shot remake of Tommy Wiseau's legendary 2003 disaster piece, The Room.
I mean, it's just perfect, isn't it? After scaling the heights of serious artistic achievement, he dives right back into the glorious, absurd muck of cult infamy.
It proves that the Mr. Show spirit, that love for the brilliantly bizarre and the embrace of failure as art, that's still fundamentally who he is as a performer and creator.
He just keeps defying categorization, keeps surprising us.
An incredible arc, and probably far from over.
Absolutely. Well, that's our deep dive on Bob Odenkirk. Thanks for joining us.
We'll catch you next time.